In this video, we're going to review Chapters 7 and 8 of Kakumei. Dragon Ball Kakumei's latest issue takes us elsewhere in the multiverse, from the planet Sadala all the way to the planet Sidra and beyond. New teams are forming and training under new tutelage of new masters. We'll receive new insight on how the training is beginning to affect our heroes, especially the one that Vegeta pulled after his secret forbidden stunt. As well as seeing the spotlight shines on the three of Earth's underdogs who've been around for the longest, yet never have been managed to escape from the more powerful Saiyan's shadows. A little bit of time has passed since the last installment of Dragon Ball Kakumei, but the stakes remain as true as ever, with the multi-universal threat as strong as ever. Our heroes from Universe 7 have since split off in hopes to finding the ultimate way to stop the impending disaster ahead of them. But will it be enough? Are they spread too thin? We'll just have to find out, won't we? We pick back right up in Universe 11, a month since Gohan joined the forces with Jiren and the others. It's a rainy night in the big city as a far, dapper-looking Gohan makes his way to the foreboding Empire Tower. The two men guarding at the tower's door shout out at Gohan. He's got no badge after all, and how can they let him in, a man with no credentials? That's when a gaggle of groupies pass very convenient in front of Gohan, chattering and eyeing up the soldiers in front of them, and also giving him a window to instantly vanish elsewhere, much to the confusion of the guards. He shot himself several yards into the air, right on top of the tower. In midair, he notices a scientist pushing a suspicious-looking package on his cart. Hitting just on the other side of the window, he asks for help from Jiren, who's acting as his informant on this particular mission. It turns out that the Empire Tower is housing a very deadly bioweapon that they're planning to sell a neighborhood country at war, situated in room 128. Gohan stealths through the tower corridors, lamenting on how high the stakes are for this mission. But it's a part of his training, and he's more than ready to take on his chances on this one. The door to 128 opens, and there's an entire boardroom worth of people sitting there. Flustered, Gohan tries to come up with some form of a cover-up on the spot. The best he's got is that he's a financial controller on his way to get an audit. In the awkward silence that ensues, Gohan notices the vial containing the virus cased in glass. Stumped, and in a stalemate, Gohan tries to picture in his head what would his dad, Goku, would do. Goku, of course, still missing in the action. He acknowledges that what Goku would do, determining which of the bad guys is the strongest, so he can focus all his energy into defeating them and significantly weaken the group at large. Gohan delivers his fake verdict to the board, stalling for time as he pulls out a very tiny flashbang. It bursts on the table while he talks, blinding everyone and giving him the distraction he needs to swipe up the bottle and flee the scene. He does feel bad about bringing these guys to harm though. Flying down the many staircases trying to remember the floor plan, the board members give a chase. It looks like Gohan is just about to escape when the two front guards turn around and recognize him at the last moment. The spy is sandwiched with no way out. Only just a little while later, Dispo and Jiren are pondering Gohan's whereabouts, unsure of the mission status. It's been 30 minutes. And if he's missing for 30 minutes more, the rest of the Pride Troopers will have to intervene in the mission. On the other end of Jiren's transponder, Kasiriel brings both of them some good news. Belmoth is back alive with him, in rough shape but still very much alive. Meanwhile, on planet Cryptid, Goten and Gohan are very much training hard under Whis' watch. The two of them are still at it when it comes to the synchronized punch training, but no matter how hard they try, neither of them can even squash the ball in the middle of their apparatus, as they can't even land the punch at the same time. After a shout of encouragement from Trunks, Goten recenters himself and remembers what his core lesson is: to get in touch with himself. He closes his eyes to focus for a second, but when his eyes are back open, he finds himself in a place he barely recognizes. A completely black void with a giant door towering over him. Wondering if behind this door could be the demons that we suggested that he overcome. He reaches his hand out towards the handle to open it, but from shout from Trunks snaps him back right into his headspace. Goten wonders what implications of seeing that door in his mind is, but they're not sure. Whis is entirely able to help them understand. The both of them realize that they need to look beyond Gotenks if they're going to train properly. Whis likes the sound of this turn of events. Back on Earth in Gohan's house, a young lady is excited to do some training. Niddlepan sneaks out of her bedroom window and flies off into the night. On her way to a certain Namekian's hideout, she reaches in the cave in 20 minutes, becoming witness to one of the Piccolo's newest techniques, his audience most impressed. Nobody's more amazed than Pan though, as she steps out into the open and declares that she's ready to train. 1 month later, back in Universe 6, there's a standoff between Hit and Frost. In an old Western style fashion, they're at a standoff, attempting to call on each other's bluffs and trying their hardest to call out who attacked first. It's Hit. He attacks Frost, causing him to double over as if the strike was a direct hit on his own inside. Crazed and in pain, caused from the sudden jab, Frost tries his best to counterattack, transmitting himself directly behind Hit, lamenting on how his impressions on Hit were wrong. He doesn't hate his life, he just loved the death of others. Frost punches Hit square in the heart, seemingly causing his head to load in unconsciousness. That's when Frost notices the many copies of Hit suddenly appear in a circle around him. In snarling to duo, the copies slice the air around Frost, but he manages to swiftly dodge all of their attacks, save for the strike shot for the leg. It slices his shin clean off, and from the shock of the blood loss, his vision goes blurry, only able to slammer a little bit of out to Hit before he collapses. Back in the present, planet Sadala. Vegeta engaged in a martial arts combat with the rest of his Saiyan troops, able to knock them out and call out their rookie errors. An entire battalion lies dizzy on the floor beneath him. He flies back up into the air to get a better view of the training army. What he's seen hasn't been anything impressive, but seeing the rest of them fight and train together does still fill him with pride. He touches down in front of Caulifla and Ruba, the two of them going over how to improve Caulifla's own technique. Ruba hands on her little pearl of wisdom. Sometimes being in the action breeds plans as much as plans help prepare for actions. At the same time, Broly and Kale are overseen by Fennel still badging up from her prior altercations with Vegeta. Fennel sees the potential within the two in them, urging Broly to stop repressing the true strength and also pleading with Kale to recognize that there's strength with her after all. Finally, there's Liriak and Kaba. Liriak's teaching Kaba the importance of maintaining logic and rationality over emotion outbursts and ego. And speaking of ego, Vegeta touches down again in front of the pair, wishing to speak with Kaba. He's curious, but Vegeta doesn't want him asking any questions. Later that night, Vegeta brings her Kale, Caulifla, and Broly out to what's left of some of the old ruins. He acknowledges how far the Saiyan Admirals have progressed from their training, but understands the emotional blocks aren't only the things they need to get over. There's also the question of Super Saiyan transformations. It's here where Vegeta promises to keep enhancing these forms by training here in secret with them out of the watchful eyes of Sadala or anyone else that thinks the form is to be taboo. They each draw their respective Super Saiyans out, but Broly, his transformation is far more overwhelming. Following directly from the last issue, we see Vegeta, Broly, and the three other Saiyans of Universe 6 on Sadala as day breaks once again. The three punks are out cold, but Broly stands firm and upright. They're all impressed at how Broly managed to become during their single day of training, confident in believing that he's able to match Universe 6's very own legendary Super Saiyan Kale in battle. Vegeta's much more critical of Caulifla's potential. However, later on, the Saiyans all return to the training ground to find Ruba and the others already still there. The warriors trained all night with little desire to even think about going home. It seems like Vegeta's time with them had given them a little morale boost, showing them their full potential deep down, even making them more faces showing up for training. These new Saiyans come from all over and they're very aware of the risk that comes following with Vegeta as their leader into this war, but still accept it nonetheless. Vegeta promises to the still absent Kakarot that they may just have a chance of winning this war after all. Elsewhere on planet Sadala, we find Bulma again visiting her Saiyan friend Rappening. They're discussing family life, their children, their husbands, all of that. When Bulma brings up Rappening's husband, a member of the Tuffles, a race that gone extinct in Universe 7, in this universe, they become the Saiyan's chief scientists, and thanks to their keen minds, Rappening's own half-Saiyan son, Pino, has the intelligence of his father combined with the fighting passion of her mother. Truly the best of both worlds, just like Bulma's very own son, Trunks. Bulma's extremely keen to visit an alien laboratory belonging to the Tuffles, and thanks to Rappening's strong connections, she's able to make it happen very soon. Tomorrow even. Bulma promises that together they'll be able to make something revolutionary for the Saiyans and the Tuffles. Now let's jump back a bit by 1 month, to a whole other planet in another universe. We now find ourselves on planet Kalamint in Universe 9, the improvised universe. Here we find 3 classic fighters, Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien Shenhan, seeking the help of 3 new fighters that they met in the Tournament of Power, the Trio of Danger. Krillin expresses the desire to train with the werewolves in preparation for the upcoming war, but that leaves them confused. What war? Planet Kalamint had heard such no warning from the Grand Priest. Yamcha deduces that it might have been because of the planet's thick cloud covers that muffled the message entirely. After getting the Trio of Danger up to speed, the team's leader Bargarmo decides to jump right into training, preparing to see how tough these 3 Earthlings really are. Tien jumps in for the first attack, but Bargarmo has raw strength on his side and knocks him away easily. While he's distracted by that back attack though, Krillin shoots out in front with a Destructo Disc, which grazes him. With all of Bergamo's might and attention focused on Krillin, the latter defends himself again with a Solar Flare, which blinds him temporarily and allows Yamcha to strike with a Wolf Fang Fist. But with each strike, Yamcha notices Bergamo's size ever increasing, until he's completely dwarfed. To counter the giant punch approaching him, Yamcha hitches a right with Tien, whose own fist socks Bergamo's in the jaw. The 3 heroes look determined that they have the upper hand. Ready to repeal Bergamo's once and for all, the 3 promises to put their time in training with Goku on Earth to good use, with the 3 of them charging a Kamehameha together. Lavender and Basil are confused at how powerful the 3 are, considering Krillin and Tien's early eliminations during the Tournament of Power. They then realize that it was because they were apart from each other during the battle. Their real strength is in their teamwork. When the light fades, the dust clears. Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien are struggling on the ground, with Bergamo laughing about how he almost got serious for the fight. He's understood the power of 3 of them must have, and decides that he'll train with them, asking his teammates to find a place for them to rest. Next, to Universe 9's God of Destruction over on the planet named after him. Sidra and Supreme Kai Ra are discussing the battle tactics that they can employ in the 2 years running up to the war, with Sidra adamant that the premeditative strike will be the key to their victory. Mojito's curious of what's being talked about, but the God and Kai remain secretive, giving Mojito all the more reason to spy on them. Roar personally promises that the Divine Beings will never act so harshly and would always make it a big deal to consult on all angles before attacking, putting Mojito at ease for now. Back at Clement, Krillin finally wakes up after sustaining his injuries in battle, all without the need for a senzu bean. Thank goodness, Krillin's worried about how much damage they took for only a single sparring session, pondering what would that mean for them in actual wartime situation, but Yamcha reassures Krillin that there's still plenty of time for them to hone their skills with the trio, or as long as it takes for Sidra and Roar to warn them. Lavender muses whether Tien's third eye will be able to see them coming through a fog, which leads them to giving the explanation behind the third eye existing. A special feature of the Third Eye clan, which some viewed as a prophetic sign and others as a demonic mark. But to Tien, it was the source of his both identity and strength, which pushed him to make the Crane School his own family after an apparent disappearance of his family. The eye itself was nothing magical, just a physical mutation of a clan, one of many quirks of Earth. Back on track, Yamcha worries about their planet or its fighters will never match up how they used to be given Goku's being trapped in Universe 19 and Earth losing its best defender, but he's only sealed physically. The memories of him is still there in all the fighters' hearts. All with that memory and training, they'll be able to push forward and win this war. That's all, thanks for watching, I'm your host, Vro. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace!